Hey, welcome to TokuTalkers. Today we're talking GoZyuger Episode 6, The Final Battle. Ha! The
Hmm.
Great Adventure of Tokonatsu Castle. I really enjoyed this episode. This is a great cap off to the opening arc of GoZyuger. And it does some really interesting things, like thematically, that I definitely gel with, both in terms of being a tribute to Don Brothers and continuing the GoZyuger narrative. But what did you think, Wyatt, my co host?
Yeah. So we've made it no secret that we're huge stands for Don Brothers. So
Yeah.
definitely one of my favorite Sentai, if not my favorite. Very high up there. And I always felt like Tokonatsu was one of my favorite characters from very early on. I mean, we are still pretty early on in the show, but from his introduction, I was like, yeah, he's not Momotaro. That's fine. It's a different vibe. He's still like an interesting character. And yeah, so I was a little bit sad to see him lose his Don Momotaro power so soon. Just because I felt like he could have been like a pretty good troublemaker, and it could have been an excuse for them to have Don Momotaro show up repeatedly in the show and get people to be like, "It's that guy I know." But I also understand that they do want to, like, I imagine Akiko Inoue especially doesn't want to completely live in the shadow of Don Brothers and wants to like carve their own path. So I respect the decision to like, all right, let's just have this opening story arc, these first 6 episodes, have it conclude, and they even do like a Don Brothers style duel to like conclude this battle between the two, between Goju Wolf and Don Momotaro. So,
Yeah.
but I am I
I
am glad though that Tokonatsu himself seems like he is going to be a reoccurring character to some degree. Maybe not as much as he has been to this point, but he's not like completely taken out of the story. So,
yeah. Um there's a couple points I want to like elaborate on. Well, one, it's like we have a bunch of other universe heroes we need to like burn throughout the 50
yes,
episodes. Like,
yes,
we got a lot. There's 50 of these guys. We got to get through
hmm
them. Like there's even like these.
including one that appears at the end of this episode that we'll
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about.
get to that. And even then, they already took out like a few off screen, as you've seen, like the Bokenger ring this
Hmm.
episode. Um, the other thing is that like I talked about this, like I hinted at this last episode, but like with this arc being the first arc being a conclusion with Don Momotaro being defeated, to me that symbolizes some kind of like passing of the torch between Toshiki and Akihiko in terms of
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
writing Sentai. um because Aki, like I don't know too much, but but I do know that Akihiko, like in a way, like the only Sentai she's quote unquote watched is Dawn Brothers so far,
Okay.
like, which makes a lot of sense when you look at the writing of
Yeah.
Gozuger, like how we keep comparing it to Dawn Brothers, because that's
Yeah.
literally
The
like,
It's like the Boss Baby thing where it's like
yeah.
watching their second Sentai, getting a lot of Don Brothers vibes from this.
Yeah,
So,
like, so that's intentional, and it's also just, like trying to like carve their own path of like be like her own path of like being like, yeah, like my dad is cool and all, but I want to like
mhm.
tell my own stories with like my own
My
characters
own little
now, and it's
freaky
like,
blorbos. Yeah.
yeah. And like even then they say she still paid tribute to like her father's work with like that whole friendship thing with Tokonatsu, where it's like that's
Yeah.
a plot line from Don Brothers that like some people forget about. Like
Mm.
the Don Momotaro isn't just the coolest guy; he's kind of also a loner who like has to grow friends and shit.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and I thought the way they like reinterpreted that in the GoZuger context was really well handled. I've been really liking this. Like, I like me a good Go anniversary, but I do like the more recent trend of the Zenkaiger Dawn Brothers GoZuger anniversary season, where it's more about the
Hmm.
meta. Like, it's more about like the thematic like resonance rather than it's the guy I know and they're
Yeah.
teaching us a lesson. Like, Gokaiger's still great. Don't get me wrong. I still think that's an excellent show, but I do like it tickles my brain to see it more in a meta text way than like a straight up here's the character you know. Um
Yeah. Especially because I feel like one of the problems with Gokaiger though I do think it has like a really strong cast, is that the cast is sort of secondary as far as the marketing goes to seeing all of the returning like Sentai heroes.
I
Um,
disagree, but I get where you're coming from.
sure. Well, I think that I guess what I'm saying is that like when people think about Gokaiger, they don't think, oh, it's the pirate Sentai. They think, oh, it's the one with all the other Sentai heroes, which
Yeah,
is
I
like,
get what you mean.
yes. So even though, like, yeah, I like all those characters, and I think that they did a good job fleshing them out. They weren't like the most amazing characters that ever exist in any Sentai or anything, but like they think that they were well handled.
I
This
mean,
I
they do
feel
keep
like,
coming back for anniversaries for like
yeah,
not even just because of the changing thing, just because they're just these big personalities.
yeah,
So
people like them.
I yeah
So I do hope that with this show, like yeah, very similarly, like we can get to the point where like because Don Brothers, I would say like I cared so little about the anniversary aspect
anniversary.
of it. I was more like, okay, I guess that villain is kind of like this or whatever. Um, but
Yeah, although it does feel like this show is gonna be a little more anniversary than Don Brothers, not just because it's like on an anniversary year, but because well, just the entire premise is Universal Heroes. And there was an entire Mecha Legend War before it. It's like so it's more Zenkaiger in the way than like, but like it's still really good. I still like what Alt's doing. Um, and there's we didn't talk about the premise of the episode. We mostly talk about the themes, but like, hey, but the premise of the episode is basically Tokunatsu's like last gambit. Which is really funny. The reason he resigns from being a prime minister is a joke about the toys, where it's like, oh, his sword does not meet like Japanese safety standards. This is illegal to own, which I
yeah.
found really funny. Like, um, that's a really good gag. And like so that causes him to just do this like final gambit of like testing the GoZyugers on like, the values of family and shit and friendship, which is
hmm
like leads to a lot of wacky but really good gags. Um
hmm
uh they're like me and my friend together. Usually my second time watching it is like after the podcast together with them because I have to
Yeah,
watch it
yeah.
first for the podcast, but because we delayed it a bit, like I watched it first with them, and we
hmm
were like freaking out over the scene where it's like Goju Wolf and Tokunatsu were like doing that like whole family role play, and it was just
Yeah.
the most bizarre. Like it was,
Yeah, I mean that whole scene in general, that was also very much like, there was a that one like scene in Don Brothers where like that happened. So it felt
oh
like a
yeah,
callback to that gag. And I don't know, just there was a couple moments in the episode that I kind of like pointed at my screen and was like, I remember this. Uh
yeah,
I will say though that the dodgeball scene, that the setting, like the location that they're filming, I know it's been used in like many Toku series, but to me the most memorable time it was used was in X-Aid, where
yeah.
Emu like beats the crap out of
Parad,
Parad,
yeah,
and
I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah, like psychologically tortures him to get
Yo,
him to join him.
that scene
So
was brutal. Oh, I love X-Aid.
yeah,
I
hmm
gotta rewatch it
hmm
eventually when I get the
it's
time.
very good.
Uh, yeah, but like, yeah, and also like we get the mecha fight. It was all right. I mean, there was some cool stuff like in the mecha fight, like seeing like all the formations. Tegasword Black. Tegasword Black can use like it can become a horse, like the freaking Maji Ranger rival. I don't know what it's called in Japanese. I'm only familiar with the Power Ranger's name.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Um, and I guess we could talk about like the little stinger at the end of the episode, or like the end of the episode. Like we had the Don Brothers duel. That was
hmm
really well done.
Oh yeah, there
Uh,
wasn't a monster this week because it was
yeah, there
just
was just
like,
kind of like the generals just bumming around. Like I
yeah,
guess, yeah. Which
yeah.
like I mean there was
There was like
you
a
go-
contest still. Like there was still like
yeah
a weird thing that the you know. So
Yeah,
like
Takanatsu.
Tokunatsu kind of acted as like the villain of the week for this, but there wasn't like a monster that came and absorbed somebody and did the thing. You know, there wasn't like that usual rigmarole going on. It was just, yeah, we get to see the the cake couple. I can't remember their
Yeah,
names, but they're like them like take the stage for the first time. So they're, yeah, you know, still
yeah.
good.
What's their name? Let me check. Excuse me. I think they're literally just called Miss Sweet Cake.
Okay.
Mr. Shining Knife and Mrs. Sweet Cake. That's what they're
Yeah.
called. That's fun. Okay. Yeah, they're fun. Then we get to see their like, and we get I do like the little cake melting gag, and then they just re-ups when it's like, oh hey, I'm a general. I still got a lot of episodes of the show to be in, and then the big tease with the bling bling, ring ring. I don't know the lyrics, but
Yeah.
you get what I mean.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
go with the freaking I forgot his name.
Daijujin.
Daijujin. I was gonna call him a
Yes.
Megazord for a second.
Yeah.
Daijujin. Yeah. I've watched Zyuger, so I should know this. Daijujin coming in like a Getter Robo character, freaking with
Uh-huh.
the cloak,
Cloak, yep.
and that was like a honestly that's the most excited I've been to see Daijujin in like a long time because
Yeah.
the power MMPR and kind of like even Sentai even overuses that like where it's like oh man like who cares like at this point but like it's really speaking to like GoZyuger's way of doing these like like energizing these like older like series in like new ways especially like I've been really loving the ways like each universe hero fights differently. Like this Don Momotaro does not fight the same as the old Don Momotaro. There are different characters, there are different personalities, and this is really leaning into that while still like paying tribute to like the old. Like it's using old aesthetics in new exciting ways. It's great.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see like what this like Tyranno Ranger will be like. Apparently he's played by Boken Black's actor, which is
Oh, cool.
interesting.
Yeah,
Uh
yeah. How do you feel about like I know in the past that you've said that you're not like a huge fan of Jew Ranger, but like I don't know. How do you feel about the Megazord slash Daijujin in general, like as a design, like from like
Oh, I
a
love it. Like I love it. It's
robot
just been
perspective? Yeah,
overused to like hell and back. Like it doesn't
yeah,
like people compare it to Optimus Prime, but like at least Optimus Prime gets like new designs every 5 years.
that's true. Yeah, I would say like like to me, I really appreciate it from being like, okay, this is like the first fantasy Sentai, really, maybe Turbo Ranger, but
I
let's
will say I do
the
like the
robot is
Geki and
car themed, but the show has a lot of fantasy elements in
yeah.
it. Um,
I do like Geki and Barai's subplot in Jew Ranger. It's just everything else. I just I mean Bendor
yeah,
is also great. Bendor is also
I was
great.
gonna say the Bandora gang. I feel like really saves the show. Otherwise, it's
Yeah,
just like generic. Who cares about these characters? You know, like
yeah.
Sentai
Especially coming off
heroes are
Jetman,
not.
it's like a bit like
It's a bit weak. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see what GoZyuger will do about this new Tyranno Ranger and Daijujin next episode.
Hmm.
Whereas we head into like this is, I know like I don't think people often consider this, but like each month of like a superhero time show is kind of like its own little mini arc,
Yeah.
because they like I feel like people like I mean like I don't know because like you have the magazine scans for like this is what's happening this month and to like
Hmm.
superhero time. So like usually at the end of the month, something will like have a bookend or like have a cliffhanger to be like, this is what's happening next month for like the magazine scans. We don't get those magazine leaks anymore because reasons. Uh,
Yeah.
like in the West at least because something happened. You can Google it.
Hmm.
Google
Hmm.
Geo Trinity incident.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I remember just recently, they had like magazine scans showing like the current arc of Gav with like Blizzard
Yeah.
sorbet and the frappe form and
Yeah.
bake and everything. And it's like, oh, that stuff is like done already. Now we're
Yeah.
we're
We're
kind of
moving
going on
on.
like, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they'll still use those forms, going forward, of course. But like, spoilers, I guess, bake maybe not
Baked
showing up
got
anytime
baked.
soon. So
And you never know. You never know.
that's
But
true.
I'm quite excited. It's just a great superhero time lineup. GoZyuger's
Yeah.
being interesting. Gav is really good. You
Hmm.
know. And we haven't really
Yeah.
talked about Gav. I talked to Wyatt about this. We might do a Gav discussion later in like
Hmm.
when it's over. We'll do an
Whenever it
individual
wraps up.
Gav discussion.
And then
To
maybe
like
we'll start Zeds or whatever it's called. Like
yeah, I
whatever the
heard
next
some
show is.
rumors about that. That's interesting, but like, yeah, we might include like I've talked to White about like including other Tokusatsu, ongoing Tokusatsu,
Yeah.
besides GoZyuger. But we'll see, we'll see. Just
Yeah.
hold on.
I guess before we wrap up, all I wanted to say is that, because I like in case I didn't like make my opinions on the episode clear, like I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was like a step up from the previous episode, maybe. I don't know. Like I felt like it was a pretty good ending to this first arc, and I'm glad that we got like a little bit more about Goju Wolf.
Oh
I
yeah, the
do.
backstory. We didn't even cover the backstory. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh, like yeah,
yeah.
because it's still really vague. It's really vague right now. There's like a brother. There's like like he might be from another world. He probably has amnesia. It's still like
Mm,
really vague, but like I do like the little carrot teases they're putting in, and that brother's 100% showing up as a character later in the show.
yes.
So
So there is the stuff there that's like, okay, he has kind of a. He's not just like a weird guy in general. There's something happened to him that caused him to be so weird.
yeah,
Basically like kind of be an outsider in his own world. And that's what I'm assuming is that like this world that he's in is not his like natural
yeah,
world. Uh, and I don't know. I think that was like very unexpected, especially because it happens during this like really dumb scene
yeah.
with
Just
him and
the mom
Tokunatsu.
role play.
Yeah, which is very funny, but it was just like very dumb. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I would be very sad if Tokunatsu doesn't show up because I was very like charmed by
Yeah.
how
I
much he
think
wanted to be
like
his
at
friend at
most
the
he'll
end.
appear at like you know what like Sentai does the end of the show where it's like, oh, here's all the side characters you've met and like here's them supporting you. At least at most he'll probably appear like that.
Sure,
Um
yeah, uh, yeah, because that's right. The dude who was uh Kuwagata Oger
yeah, Ty
has yet
not
to show
Kaya.
up again.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe he'll show. Like, I don't expect them to have huge roles or anything in the story. It's
Yeah.
just more so like little moments where they see them again or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure there's like I'm guessing we won't see the Kuwagata Ojo user until like episode 20. Like I think he'll be like a halfway point battle where it's like,
sure.
oh, shit's getting serious or something.
Mm,
Um
mm. But anyway, there you go. That's all I wanted
yeah.
to. I just wanted to touch on that real quick
No, yeah,
because we kind
yeah,
of
no,
skipped over
thank
it.
you because I almost forgot. So it's good to
Yeah.
touch on all our bases. Um, yeah, I think that'll do it for our general discussion of GoZuger episode 6. Wyatt, where can people find you?
Well, going over to Blue Sky at Was Ranger WACP Ranger. It's mostly stream of consciousness stuff, but I do post about podcasts I'm doing and videos I'm making. If you want to go to my video channel, it's only magic. Go there. You can check out all of my podcasts for free. But if you want to get an episode a week early, go onto the Patreon. $3. You can get whatever episode a week early. Right now, you can get the what is it, the Robot Boy, totally just Robot Boy episode right now. So there you go. And yeah, for $1, if you only got $1, you can go and get Wow Cool Robot, which is me and my friend Wayne going through every single robot in existence. So if you only got one to spare, that's fine. You can still get a nice podcast, 5 to 10 minute episodes, good discussions, big thumbs up. All right. How about you?
Hi, I'm Buster Corp. I do lots of videos on my YouTube channel, the Buster Corp channel. It really just like there's no theme. I do talk about Tokusatsu, but it's not all the time, so don't expect me. But like, hey, if you, I do have a lot of Toku videos. I just released a video on Lupin Ranger versus Power Ranger last week. I really liked how it came out. It's doing really well. So like, hey, if you want to see your more Sentai discussion, go over to that channel. And but if you want to hear more GoZuger discussion or other kind of media discussion, stay tuned for this Modular Media YouTube channel and Spotify feed where we do all sorts of podcasts. Like we of course we have TokuTalkers every week. I drag Wyatt to discuss the new
Mm-hmm.
GoZuger, maybe Kamen Rider and Ultraman when those start up again, or when Gav finishes because Kamen Rider never stops. But
Yeah.
um And then we also have our monthly media club and local fanboys, which will be talking about the DC Comics classic Kingdom Come this month and very soon,
Ooh.
like probably like the day after this is uploaded.
Mm-hmm.
And then the modular media.
Cool.
Oh, I forgot modular media, but no, components. That's the media. Out of myself. Bye, everybody.